First story. Is there such a thing as the cheatable type? I, 33M, just found out my soon-to-be ex-girlfriend 43F, let's call her Ginny T because he literally idolizes this person and doesn't see the parallel between their alcoholism and previous drug use, has cheated on me while I was away overseas for 2 weeks, relative's funeral. The whole time my sister was telling me she had this gut feeling about her cheating, and I didn't have that feeling because I'm grieving my late relative. And despite me giving this POS rent money, she managed to get us evicted before I ever got back. She's been unemployed since May. Needless to say, I already had too much on my plate. She moved all of my belongings to a fucking garage. I've been back for another 2 weeks before going through her phone, finding what I dreaded, and sent myself the screenshots, the videos, while wiping away any evidence of my snooping, running back to my parents' house, far the fuck away from her. She suspects I know, but I slipped up when an old screenshot of her encounter with the several dudes we used to hook up with last year, long story, surfaced in our chat. She called and said, "Is this why you're acting weird?" And she entirely blew up on me, too, saying that I was the one who's probably cheating and that I don't love her. To which I kept my cool and said, "Oh, no, nothing like that. I thought I saw something but realized it's from before. If you didn't do anything recently, then that's that." Before I continue with it, back to the question. I ask because every single relationship I have been in results in my partner cheating on me. I mean, obviously the answer is pick a different type of partner, but that's an answer for a different question. I don't want to sound full of myself, but I'm not exactly ugly, or the prettiest for that matter. It's a stupid and silly question because really I know cheaters don't cheat because of me. It's because they're insecure with themselves. But how did I manage to choose 3 consecutive partners that all swear up and down that they don't cheat, don't like the idea of cheating, blah 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 blah. And somehow I'm back to square one with that bad part of my brain telling me it's all my fault and everyone is the fucking same. For context, first partner was in 2017, 24F, we lasted 2 years, she cheated throughout. Second partner was in 2020, 27F, we lasted 2 years before I found out she spent $600 on OnlyFans boys on my mom's birthday, while not paying a dime for dinner for my mom's birthday. I mean, seriously, what the fuck? Where do I keep finding these fucking losers? And last but not least, I met this last partner when she was 32 in 2022. 2 years is coming up September. This one is different because I thought that maybe if I were more sexually open into threesomes, couple swaps, etc., that it would be easier for us to navigate through this shit, and boy, my naive ass really couldn't be more wrong. Am I giving too little? Am I giving too much? Is it worth hoping to find someone who's actually going to respect my boundaries? Anyway, while you contemplate that, I'd love to continue ranting on this current one, because with the actual fuck, I found this dumb GF sending her nude to throwaway accounts 5 days into my absence, clearly rejected, but whatever. And that dude I mentioned before? Well, last year fall, we matched with a couple that wanted to swap. We did. Except I literally got the short end of the stick, once again. What the actual fuck? Anyway, after that experience, she and I swore we'd never do that again. Well, turns out, less than 24 hours since my departure, I was still on a fucking plane. FFS, she hits gym buddies up trying to fuck her again. I won't go into details of what was said because I'm actually about yak up a whole bottle of Jason talking about this discovery I made 5 hours ago. Now, here's the really fucked up part. I don't body shame. I used to be 6'4" and 149 pounds when I met this Ginny T, and she didn't shame me for it, but she encouraged me to work out and eat healthier. I'm now 210 pounds and all of my blood work is in the clear. I'm healthy-ish, again, and her commentary for the past few months was, "God, you're so hot, I love the way you look now," and all sorts of praise crap I'm not convinced on because of my own shortcomings. Oh, did I mention I made her own porn? Like I would film us to keep her satisfied while I was away? What was the point of that if all he was gonna do after is jack off to other guy and hit up other dudes for this and that? And she still talks to her ex. But honestly, that is an ant compared to this dumpster fire of a shit sandwich I am describing as my life now. I feel completely fucking used. I'm practically homeless. My oh so happy relationship is ruined. Oh, and because of my approved vacation, I may not even have a job at the end of all of this, so I'm completely fed up. Good thing I booked a therapist for next week FFS. Also, if this sounds like you, Ginny T, this is how you had to find out why I left you. I'll also be forwarding this to your mom along with my screenshots and video of you fucking another dudes on the bed that I paid for. Do you guys think I should also send this to her new job? She starts August 8th. Second story. Is my fiance 38F cheating on me 32M? My partner and I have been in a generally healthy relationship for over 10 years. However, a few incidents have raised concerns. Early in our relationship, during a trip, my fiance used my phone to message a friend on Facebook, and I noticed a conversation with her boss named Timmy Boy. He seemed uninterested in their discussion about art, but I dismissed it as a potential previous love interest. Months later, my fiance posted a heartfelt birthday message with unflattering pictures, causing me insecurity. Upon asking her to archive the post, she mentioned not wanting people to assume we'd broken up due to a past fling reaching out to her on Snapchat. She revealed Timmy Boy's first name, and I recognized him on her social media from months prior as the dude she messaged before dating me. I directly confronted her about the situation, pointing out that the dude would have noticed her posts with me. However, her response seemed somewhat defensive. I requested she remove him from her social media, to which she agreed but postponed doing so until she re-downloaded Snapchat. After a week, she gave an excuse for not removing this dude, questioning the purpose of doing so and suggesting it was pointless if they weren't messaging. She said she would delete him though. I asked her a third time in January. She claimed to have deleted Timmy Boy right after he messaged her but didn't inform me, which left me uncertain about her honesty. Despite my concerns, I decided to trust her, especially since he stayed in contact during her trip to Eastern Europe. However, her random declaration of love before leaving felt somewhat unusual and left me slightly suspicious. Upon her return a month ago, I observed changes in her behavior, particularly with her phone. She grew defensive and angry when we looked through her phone together, despite her earlier claims of needing to retrieve a text. Her reaction, coupled with deleted messages from specific individuals, raised suspicion that she may be hiding something. Furthermore, she attempted to shift the blame onto me by suggesting that I might be projecting guilt based on a search he claimed to have made. These inconsistencies and defensive behavior point to potential dishonesty and a lack of transparency in our relationship. She offered to let me call the Timmy Boy in question, stating she never deletes contacts. Despite my suspicions, I chose to trust her words, though I had no evidence. When confronted about her inconsistent statements regarding deleting their Snapchat, she claimed she deleted him a week later and may have forgotten, which seemed suspicious. Additionally, she was active on Snapchat after claiming to have deleted it. Last night, I checked her phone and discovered that the dude's contact, along with several others, were gone. But I saw a dude named Andrew without any corresponding messages or calls. Unsure if contacts can be hidden on an iPhone, I also found no recently deleted messages. I then downloaded Snapchat on her phone and found she still had Timmy Boy added. Contradicting she claim of never speaking to him, she had sent a photo of a book I lent her, which she saved that was months ago. Though I didn't scroll down to check for more recent messages, or if she opened a chat from him recently. I noticed that she had added many dudes on Snapchat, but many added her back. In November, I talked about how I only talked to one person on the app, my brother, but she reacted defensively, stating she didn't talk to anyone on Snapchat, even though I hadn't inquired or accused her. She also mentioned a friend who hangs out with a dude without her husband knowing, and it makes her uncomfortable. This leaves me feeling hurt and confused, unsure if I'm overreacting or if she's actually cheating. Adding to the confusion, my fiancé followed me on Instagram when she first posted about me. Last night, I was crying uncontrollably, unable to discuss what was upsetting me. Third story. I think my wife cheated again. About 3 weeks ago, my wife 34F went away to Tiananmen KY on a work trip. For context, she confessed to me around 2013 that she had a one-time physical affair. Since then, she has been devoted to getting help and recovering from emotional affairs and the one physical affair. Her job required her to attend an important training meeting. Her boss and his wife picked her up from airport and drove 2 hours from BNA to KY. She stayed there for 2 days and everything seemed fine. The day she traveled back to the airport, things get very strange. She left at 11 a.m. for a flight that didn't leave until 4 p.m. It's a 2-hour drive back to airport. We spoke at the beginning of her trip and all was well. I went about my day and after a few hours, I thought I'd call to see if she made it to the gate okay. I was sent immediately to voicemail, texted and didn't get a reply for a while. She said she was trying to find her gate. She should have arrived around 1 and it was now around 2:15 her time. She said it took her an hour to find parking lot B at Nashville Airport. When she called me back, she was in the airport. Sounded very happy and said you wouldn't believe what happened. I got really confused about how to find parking lot B, pulled into a construction site and asked 2 young construction workers for instructions. She said she was struggling to understand their instructions and asked them to drive the car she had borrowed from her boss to parking lot B. I sat there in silence because I was wondering if she really was that naive to let complete strangers into a car. She said that one of them drove her to parking lot B and then departed. What construction worker near Nashville Airport would leave their job site, drive a stranger's car and then return to work? Who's been to Nashville Airport lately and what's difficult about finding parking lot B? I retraced her steps after she got home and her timelines don't make sense. She got really angry with me when I told her she should have not done that and that she put herself at great risk. When she arrived at home airport, she was very standoffish and needed to use restroom right away. Gave me a very brief hug. She was in restroom for way longer than expected. I noticed when we got home that she didn't have any panties to take off when she immediately got in the shower. The next day she slept all day, complained of abdominal pains, nausea, and she decided to take allergy meds. Her panties on the closet floor had some spotting. She said her period ended the day she got back from the airport. The week back from her trip, her sex drive was through the roof. She wanted to have sex every night. I noticed that she was way rougher in bed. She also did a new position we've never done. I wouldn't normally do this, but I checked her purchases during the trip to the airport. She stopped at a fast food place and then dollar store in KY. At dollar store she bought lipstick and lip gloss. From that location it should have taken about an hour and a half to airport, still way earlier than 4 p.m. I'm sharing in hopes that I will get some advice on any part of the story. I asked her if she did anything wrong on the trip and she denied any wrongdoing. What about her story doesn't make sense? What questions should I ask? Thanks for reading. Fourth story. My GF went to a hotel apparently. To put you in some context, my GF and I broke up 2 months ago after I found some conversations with another guy. Later, she proved me that nothing happened, and since I didn't find concrete evidence that she cheated on me, I decided to get back together. Since that incident, I have been really paranoid and started to create scenarios in my head. Every time she said she was hanging out with her girlfriends. 3 days ago, I checked her email. Not proud of that, and found out a fast food delivery email to an address she ordered food to, an address I didn't know. I googled the address and found out it was the address of a hotel. She ordered food to that hotel after she told me she was going out to her girlfriend's house. I also found a taxi app emails to an address next to that hotel. I know she would never put the exact address if she was going to a hotel. Extra content. This week we were on vacation, and I noticed she never left her cell phone alone, and when she was not using she left it face down. She never used to do that, but I also think it is because I checked her phone the first time we broke up. I was hoping to check her phone one more time to get solid proof, but I was not able to. Help me out with this. 1. Do you think I have enough proof to confront her and affirm she cheated on me? 2. How can I confront her? 3. Right now she has a broken toe and one of her relatives is really sick, so I don't know if now is the right time to confront her, but I don't want to let the time pass. Thanks in advance. 5th story. Wife had multiple emotional affairs for over a year. Any hope? A few days ago, I confirmed my suspicions that my wife has having an EA, but it turned out to be much worse than I thought. There were actually multiple APs, and it was going on for over a year. I read many people's EA stories on here, and they're pretty similar with bleak prognosis. Mine differs in several key ways that make me think there might be hope for us. Her EA was online only as none of her APs were local to us. She confessed to everything and took full responsibility on D-Day. She immediately cut off contact with her APs and let me download the chat histories with them. She committed to doing individual counseling, marriage counseling, and whatever it takes to rebuild our relationship. She stopped playing the online game where she met her APs. Can the sub offer any insights? Am I a moron for thinking our story might not end the same way? Here are the condensed details if it helps. Her AAs were over Discord with guys that she met in an online game. Like I said, none of the APs were local to us, but I did see one of them mention a future visit a few times. Meanwhile, there was the typical secrecy, lovey talk, pet names, sexting, pictures, videos, mutual masturbation, etc. All at the expense of our family, our house, and our relationship, of course. Speaking of our family, she sent pictures of our children to her APs. I was in denial the whole time, but when a gift from one of her APs showed up, I snapped out of it. When I confronted her about her shady behavior, she put up some weak resistance at first. She tried to act innocent, then tried to trickle truth me about the content of her chats, and finally handed over her phone when I gave her an ultimatum. As I read through the messages, she claimed that all of the I love yous and pet names were meant in a friendly way, but I called bullshit on that. She then tried to minimize by telling me she hasn't actually fucked any of them, but I shut that shit down by pointing out the secrecy, the intimacy between them, and the fact that she wouldn't be okay with me doing that with other women. I had to ask her several times and repeat my ultimatum before the number of APs stopped changing. After that, she apologized profusely and took full responsibility for what she did. She said she'd do whatever it takes to earn back my trust and rebuild our marriage. She let me download the chat histories with her APs and let me message them to say I know about their affairs and to leave our family alone. Then she blocked them on all messaging apps and blocked their numbers. She asked if I wanted her to leave, but she has nowhere to go and I'm not a monster, so I said she's sleeping on the couch from now on. I know I'll never see her the same way or fully trust her again. I need to figure out if I can truly be with her if that's the case. I'm working with my therapist on that. Thanks for reading. 6th story. Fallout with physical AP. I want to get some outside perspective on this since there's no one I can really talk to about it in my personal life. I know I broke the cardinal rule with this one, don't shit where you eat. I, 67 married man, had a friend, 31 married woman, who was clearly not happy in her marriage, so I took it upon myself to try to seduce her. We vibed really well with each other and spent a lot of time together. And it was at the point where she would rather spend time with me than anyone else and was insinuating wanting to have sex with me. The problem was that it was impossible to separate her from her husband to be alone. There was all this tension between us, but nothing was manifesting past the "I would really like to do this with you." This made me frustrated, and I started being more cold to her and stopped paying so much attention to her. This made her become visibly upset with me in front of others. And it really made the situation awkward when we were together because it was obvious to those around us that me and her weren't on good terms, when we were the bestest friends before. It got so bad that when hanging out in a friend group, my wife started commenting on how different she was treating me and wanting to know what was up between us. I tried to play it off as I didn't know and hadn't noticed. So I apologized to AP and tried to make up with her, even if we would just end up as friends, but she continued acting the same way toward me, and my wife was starting to ask even more questions. This is where I made my mistake. I asked her if she could act more normal when we were hanging out as a group because I was starting to get questions from my wife about why she was acting that way toward me. She stopped texting me back, and then at a hangout a week or so later, I was confronted by her husband, alone, about why I had texted her an apology and that she didn't know what I was talking about. Now after this I knew that she was 100% bad news and a huge red flag when she involved her husband over something like this. I also understand that the reason we had a fallout was because of my actions. I know I'm lucky as duck too for things not getting worse than they did. I want to know what you guys' opinion is on this and what I can do if in a similar situation in the future. I feel like she may have just liked the attention and the excitement of what could happen, but she was probably never going to move past that. I tried to seduce a friend from a friend group. She was interested but hesitant to move from physical to emotional. I got frustrated with her and went cold toward her privately. She became visibly upset with me, publicly, even in front of my wife, so I tried to smooth things over as my wife was starting to get suspicious. I asked her to act normal because I was getting questions from my wife on this, and she involved her husband in confronting me.